Hey guys, what's up? So here we are. As you can see, I've got her mostly all buttoned up. All my accessories, all my mods. She's, I'm going to say 99.9% done. Still a couple things I want to do. But I think some of you have been waiting for this video. It's because in this video I'm going to list all my mods, all my accessories. There's going to be links in the description to where you can go purchase everything, and the websites, the vendors. The one thing I will not mention is I'm not going to mention any pricing or discounts because those can change all the time. So I'm going to leave that off. But like I said, links in the description for all these. I'm going to give a full list and a little bit of details on each item. I'm not going to go in like the full detail, just some quick bullet, highlights and bullets about them. I'll do a quick walk around right now. Maybe you can spot some stuff. I'll mention most of the things you're going to be like, hey, what's that? Or how'd you do that? I'll just give a little quick reason on why I decided to throw everything at it all at once. For those that don't know, I'm not new to motorcycling. I'm a pretty avid tourer. On my other bike, I've visited 43 different states. It's over 90,000 miles on it. But I wanted to slow down a bit, hit some more back roads, country roads, do some more camping, some mild trail riding. So KLR ticked all the boxes for me. ABS, fuel injection, price point, and it seemed like it was a good pick. But I decided to throw everything at it all at once because it took me years to get my other bike to exactly where I wanted it, and I wish I would have done it sooner. So with the KLR, I decided I wasn't doing that. I was going to throw the kitchen sink at her at it once. And about $4,300 later, yeah, I know. That's a lot of damn money. But I'm happy. I will have full disclosure. I did not have any, or should I say, almost any handouts, freebies, except for a couple. I will mention those as I come to them. But everything on this bike I paid out of my pocket for. So I'm just going to dig right into it. I'm going to start with my T-Rex stuff. All the stuff from T-Rex Racing. As I said in the beginning here, all the links will be in the description of this video. I'm going to try to do them all in order that I have them listed. Might be a little bit out, but for the most part, they're all going to be in order. T-Rex has engineered their own handguards that utilizes the Bark Busters wind deflectors. Very well made, very easily to install. Have no issues or problems with these in the install or fabrication department. They're great. I love them. They look tough, are tough. Can't go wrong with those. Next is my T-Rex center stand. Pretty well built. It's a little hard to get the bike up on this. I think they could have made that lever there a little bit longer to help with some leverage. Maybe there's clearance issues is why they didn't do that. And it does collapse fairly easily. I've already had a fall of the bike. I might try to do a little modification to get that to swing a little further forward. But for the most part, pretty happy with that. Decent price, good engineering, easy install. Up next are my T-Rex engine guards. Now I do have the upper and the lower. As you can see, the uppers are pretty substantial. They're going to protect in just about any kind of fall slide I think you could put your bike into, maybe other than a high side. But any low side, you're covered with these engine guards. I do have the uppers. Just zoom in on some of the hardware for those. See, they clear those brake lines. Have these nice little skid pads on them. Looks like, you know, obviously they're replaceable. I don't know how accessible the replacements are. Then you got the crossbar in the front. More of an exoskeleton than I'd say engine guards, but I think you're not going to find better protection than those. And then the lower guard kind of mimics the engine guard that's on the Adventure models. So if you have the Adventure model, it looks very similar. Also has a crossbar that goes in the front. I'm not sure if the Adventure model has those or not. But if you have the Adventure model, the upper bars will work on your bike. If you need lower guards for non-Adventure model guys, these are available. Or if you want to upgrade your lower guards for your Adventure model. Lower guards, you utilize the stock bolting points. Same way with the other ones. You got that, whatever you call it, that Dorito bracket in there. Very happy with those. Obviously I haven't tested them yet. I mean, they're on the bike, but there's been no hard drops to test to see how durable they are, but they are very stout. Next would be the skid plate. Again, T-Rex Racing. About your typical skid plate for the front. Pretty wide, pretty thick. Covers the entire bottom of the engine. Kind of hard to get a camera in there. Hangs lower than the drain bolt. But the thing about the T-Rex ones is they also cover the rear suspension linkage. Now I did have to bend mine down ever so slightly because I did have a tinging every time the suspension bottomed out, or topped out should I say. I'm gonna kind of, I'm not really looking through the viewfinder, so hopefully this is a good view for you. Pretty comparable to the other ones on the market. Pretty happy with it, easy install. Utilizes all the stock bolts and mounts. So shouldn't have any problem with that. Next up, I'm going to go to my Happy Trails items. A couple different items on this bike. For starters, I have their fork brace. Pretty similar to other fork braces on the market. The reason why I went with Happy Trails, because they were offering a discount at the time. I'd already placed an order for other items, so I just threw it in the cart. They do not offer one in black, which is kind of stupid, I think. But I guess the contrast with the spokes on the wheels, that doesn't look terrible. They did not package it very well when I purchased it. You can see dings and nicks in it already. I was a little dissatisfied with the way they packaged it with all the bolts and hardware, and then they were bouncing around the box and it dinged the billet aluminum. Why anybody would do that is beyond me. I sent them an email and basically got, okay, we'll try harder next time, basically. So that was one of my issues I had with Happy Trails. Now, as far as their products go, their stuff is nice. I mean, you get what you pay for, and you're gonna pay a lot for it. So up next, I have my panniers and my pannier racks. I went with the two Canon panniers. It's their Cliff model. As you can see, it's got this little overhang here that offers a little extra capacity. They have Cliff and non-Cliff two Canons. These are the medium width ones. I think they have 8.5, 9.5, and 10.5. Don't quote me on that, but I think those are the widths. These are the middle size. These are the 9s or the 9.5 widths. And I think these just follow the lines of the bike. They taper at the bottom. Not overly huge. It's a pretty good mounting system. Nice latches. Cam down. They have locks on the bags. And then here's all you do to remove them. I'm going to try to do this without dropping anything. I already have one of these out just so I can do this video. Pop those out. Two of those. Pick up on the bag. And they pop right off. Then there's their little puck system, as they call it, I believe. And the holes where those screws were. And this is their SU rack, which is designed for hard panniers. Very nice finish. I did go with a matte finish instead of their glossy to help match the bike a little more. I don't know if they did that as a special favor for me because I was already pissed off at them. But I asked, they said no problem, so they did it. You know, you got the bar, it comes across the back, stabilizes everything. Those screws screw under those nutserts. Very well made. I added some little rubber pads here just because they did have a little bit of a rattle. I mean, there's aluminum on a rack, so. Pretty happy with those. I'll walk around the other side, just get a look at comparison of one side to the other. Just a mirror image. Like the little loops on the top of the boxes where you can strap, you know, sleeping packs or tents or whatever. I will say while riding, I have found that I've kicked these a few times, so I would not recommend using these for any heavy trail riding where there's a high possibility of the bike going down. You could pin your foot. That is a debatable thing. People say hard panniers versus soft. I kind of agree with that, especially with these as big as they are. I do have a set of soft bags. I'll cover those in the end of the video here that will also strap onto those racks. So next up is the windscreen. This is the National Cycles V-Stream Touring windscreen. It does have a slight tint to it. These are marketed by 3D Cycle Works. He has them listed on the website. Like I said, the link will be in the description. And being a tall boy, I will tell you, you will not find better wind or buffeting protection than this windscreen. I have it in the high position. You can run it in the lower position to make it about an inch lower. But for cold weather, wind protection, buffeting, this is going to be your top dog right here. Now, I do have a little bit of a clearance issue. The corner of this handguard does hit the corner of the windscreen on a hard lock. I don't find it being a problem with street riding. But if I decide to do any trail riding or off-roading, I will probably put my stock windscreen back on for a couple reasons. One, for that clearance issue, in case the bike would go down and the bars would get slammed to one side or the other. But also for some better airflow, because this puppy blocks the air. That is probably about my eye level there, as tall as I am, so you get a good idea. Like I said, it can be lowered a little bit. It's a direct bolt on, no adapters or nothing. You take your stock windscreen off, this one goes on. Doesn't get any simpler than that. It is very high quality. I've ran these on other bikes. National Cycles makes a really nice screen. Very thick, very durable. I can't remember what their warranty is, but I think they've got a pretty good warranty package too. So, very good option. I have another option for my windscreens I will mention in the video or towards the end of the video. but this is the one I'm going to run 90% of the time. I freaking think it's awesome. Next up, over up here, headlight guard. SRC Moto. These have only recently became available. I was surprised when I went to make the list for this video and the link was active. I don't know, I didn't see if when the ship date was on them. These are brand new, just released. Now this is where the disclaimer part comes in. I did receive this at no cost. I'll tell you why I got it, but this was one of the trial models that was sent over to see how few people would like them. And the person that it got sent to has an adventure model. The problem with the adventure models are with your upper light bar uses the same mounting point as the lower headlight guard mounting point. And from what I was told, it does not work without modification. So the person that got this to try has an adventure model, said he didn't want to do the modifications, so he sent it to me. So this was a freebie for me. And so far, I like it. It mounts pretty simply. Uses the windshield bracket bolts. Then this bracket comes down, and these are little rubber grommets with machined aluminum pins. And that headlight guard pops on and off without removing any hardware. You just give this a tug on all four corners. And if you need to wash the bike or access the headlight lens for whatever reason, it pops right off with a little bit of finagling, but not terrible. It's very stout. It's not going anywhere. It would take a pretty substantial blow to get past that puppy. I'm trying to just give you a side view. See, it sticks out a good inch or so away from the headlight itself. And I looked it up. Those headlights are $1,000. If you break one or has an element go out of it, those things are about 900 and some change through Kawasaki. So maybe the headlight guard would be a good idea. I got it because it was given to me to try. I'm trying it. So far I like it. I can't really comment on how light goes through it or if you see any lines or whatever. Haven't done a whole lot of trial and error at nighttime with that, so that is still up in the air. Next up, I don't think these things need an introduction or a whole lot of talk. You got the double take adventure mirrors. You've seen them around. Lots of folks have them. They're pretty tried and true. Decided to go with them to reduce vibration and to get the mirrors over my shoulders a little more. It still wasn't quite enough, so I added these little Amazon risers. Pretty inexpensive. I think they were less than 15 bucks on Amazon. Direct bolt on that comes with the bolt. They spin right into your mirror mount on your bike. The double take ball screws into those. Highly recommend using Loctite. And then you have your double take on top of these mirror risers. For the ones that don't know, the double takes with the dual balls on each end offer almost infinite adjustability. And if they get smacked by a tree or a branch, they will just fold in and then you can just push it right back out. They're not hard mounted and they reduce quite a bit of vibration. So plus on both of those items. Next up, I should have covered this when I was up here doing the windshield. My GPS mount. That is just a very simple clamp mount that goes on that upper crossbar. Has several 4 and 2 bolt patterns on it for multiple GPS and phone mounts. That is made by Moto Pump, sorry. links in the description. Somebody on Adventure Riders come up with these. Moto Pump picked them up, and if you actually go on Adventure Riders, just Google Moto Pump GPS mount. There's you can get them at a discount. Like I said, I don't want to link a discount here because the discount could end. But very solid, no frills, just does what it's supposed to do. I'm going to go back over here to the bars. This is, some of you may recognize as a Atlas throttle lock. Pretty simple concept. It mounts on the throttle itself, the throttle tube. It's got a little friction, that white friction pad in there. Set your throttle, clamp it down, it holds. You can also adjust it as it's clamped down. Disengage it, and it's off. One thing you will notice about mine is it does not say Atlas on the side. I ordered this through AliExpress, which some of you may know is a Chinese kind of Amazon type website. This was $100 cheaper than ordering the real deal Atlas. So I gambled, I got it, and other than the color of the rivets, I can't tell a difference. Honestly, the instructions mention Atlas in it. So I'm going to run over to my wife's bike real quick with this. I'm going to just pause this and then compare. So there's that one. There's the one that's on my wife's bike. She has the lower one, I have the upper one. But other than the color of the rivets and it not saying Atlas on it, I don't notice a whole lot of difference for the $100 price difference. Hers works the same way. Lock it down. Hit the button to release. Not a whole lot of difference. So some people don't like Chinese knockoff stuff. Some people think you're taking money out of the mouths of whatever company sells these products. As you've seen, I give them my money once before. I kind of cheated on this one a little bit. But if you want to save $100, I'm going to link the description for this one. If you want to buy the actual Atlas one, you can Google it or go on Amazon and pay $100 more. That is totally up to you. All right. Next up are tank pads. I went with the TechSpec Gripster Tank Pads. These are a rubbery material, very thick. They stick very well, with one slight exception. I'll show you that in a moment, but that's been addressed. These are actually the tank pads for a Gen 2. And all I did was trim a little bit right there. You can see where it's like rough edges. And a little bit right underneath where it says TechSpec or TechSpec. And the Gen 2s will work perfectly on the Gen 3. The only issue that's the let me add, that's the Gen 2 pads, and then you have to buy the center pads separately. They make several sizes and variations of the center pad. So, you know, decide which one you want or just run the side ones without the top one, but I wanted the top one. The only problem I had was this one didn't quite want to stick right here, but that has been addressed. I emailed TechSpec and they were like, sorry about that, we're going to send you another one. So I do have a replacement on the way for that. Those are very grippy. I've gotten one ride in with them. Pretty happy with the way they feel, where my legs fall on them. I just think they look tough. I've had them on my other bike for many, many years, and they haven't failed me yet. Next up, we're going to just go on up here. Bar risers. As you guys can see, I'm running stock bars, but again, tall boy that I am, I wanted to get them a little higher up, one for when I'm standing. These are pretty simple. These are just the Tusk 30mm bar risers. They come with the aluminum block and longer bolts. That's it. No need to worry about wires or cables. They are long enough. They make them in the 15mm and the 30mm variances. These are the 30s, or 1.1/8 for the SAE guys. And pretty simple. Mounts in just a few minutes. Just lay a towel on your tank so you don't ding it up when you lay your bars down. But pretty simple, easy mod. No other modifications required. Next, I'm going to go to my pegs down here. Stick with the controls. And like a lot of other people, I went with the Tusk billet aluminum pegs. Very well made. Very easy to mount. Come with the springs. There's not a whole lot to say about those. Nice wide platform. Very grippy little, whatever you want to call those, prongs. And then I coupled that with the Tusk folding plus 10mm wide shifter lever. Again, spring loaded. Clears the case just fine, unlike some of the other ones I've seen on the market. Also, you can't adjust your stock one high enough without hitting the case, so it's a plus to get that for that reason alone too. Also, in accompanying all this, I have the J&S Engineering lowering peg brackets that lowers the peg itself about 1 inch. Links in the description like everything else. Very well made. I did have to, you can see my little spacer there. These peg brackets are, where they bolt onto the bike are narrower than the stock ones. So if you're running an aftermarket center stand, you may have to have some spacing issues. I have another video on that. Just look in my list of videos. I go into detail on all that. Give you a shot from this side. I did adjust the brake lever down a little bit to accompany those pegs, lowering peg brackets. But it looks sharp, well made, fairly easy to install. I think I'll jump back up here. You've probably seen it. Pretty basic Tusk crossbar pad. I don't know why I have it a little out of the center a little bit. Need to redo that. But pretty inexpensive. If you don't want to run a pro taper one on a stock bar. I always thought that was silly when guys put Renthal or pro taper ones on stock handlebars. Like they're trying to pull one off on somebody. But whatever. Pretty expensive, like $8-9. Rocky Mountain for those. They got multiple colors. Went with the orange, for obvious reasons. If you're placing an order for Rocky Mountain, just throw it in your cart and get one. Why not? Let's see here. Grips. For grips, I went with heated grips made by Oxford. I have ran Oxfords on my other bike for probably a decade now without fail. They are hot. And you're a bigger man than I am if you can run these on high without gloves on. Here's your controller. They do have they call them an intelligent controller. If you have them direct wired to your battery, they know when there's a current draw and will shut themselves off. I have mine switched on the ignition, so that should not be a problem for me. I did go with what are called the Sport models. The reason why I went with the Sport is because I didn't want to do any trimming. I just wanted to, here's that term again, plug and play, put them on there and not have to worry about trimming them. If you get the adventure models or the touring models, you may have to trim. That's what this extra little ring is here. That's the trim ring. As you can see, I did not trim these. So that's, then my little mounting plate. I mounted these, and there's more of that in another video on how I had to modify that plate. It is straight up and down, so I could keep the mirror in that location. But those have been great for me. And all my wiring stuff is in another video. Just search my videos and you'll find multiple videos on where I've done things to this bike, including the wiring. TPMS. I have what is called a Steelmate TPMS monitor on this bike. And that is the little gauge there. As you see, I flipped it on with the key. Scans back and forth, front tire to rear tire. I don't know why my rear's got 40 pounds in it. Maybe it's because the temperature has been getting a little warm here lately. Readjust those. It also monitors tire temperature and bike voltage. So, and I have mine switched on and off the key. And there is a nicer looking bezel I can put on with that. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that or not. But it comes with these sensors. It's all Bluetooth, wireless, whatever you want to call it. Got the one for the front, one for the rear. They do have little locking nuts on the back side. Show you the rear one, even though it's the same exact thing. There you go. We've ran these on my wife's Indian Scout for many years, about 2 or 3 years now, and I've never had a tire leak off. Some people don't like the idea of having things screwed into the valve stem, but I've never had an issue with it. So, why did I want that? Because, I don't know. I like to know. I like to monitor things. I love information. I like to know what's going on with the bike at all times. It's also why I've added the other gauges and stuff like that. Just checking my list. All right. So other items you see on the dash are my Trail Tech tack. Pretty simple install. Basically, it's just a wire that goes down and twists around your spark plug wire, and it reads pulses. It's powered on all the time. They're kind of I don't want to say disposable. They're supposed to last 5-6 years, but they're not serviceable. There's the term I'm looking for. They're not serviceable. Once the battery goes dead, you have to replace them. They're about $50 a piece. So 5-6 years, you don't look at it, it's like $8-9 a year to have the information, just to know what RPM your engine's turning. That's information I like to have. Not necessarily, a lot of guys are going to say, yeah, you just listen. But I like information. On the other side, you have the mirrored image temperature gauge, which is an accompany to the Thermobob mod. If you guys don't know what the Thermobob mod is, pretty easy to Google. It just helps regulate the engine's temperature. But the Thermobob, it has the option of adding the temperature gauge. And right there it is. A little brass nut on the top is the temperature gauge that screws into the aluminum housing that the Thermobob essentially is. Your thermostat housing goes on top of that, and then the bypass tube goes underneath that. It supposedly helps with oil consumption with these bikes and just helps regulate engine temperature, in addition to gives you the engine temperature readout. If it's needed on these, that's still up to debate. I wanted it, I got it. So there's my dash set up. Turn everything on. And you can see what I see when I'm going down the road. Got my GPS, my speedo, got my TPMS, temperature, RPMs, and what everybody else has. So I love information. I like to see things when I'm going down the road. The bike has a hiccup, I can look down, the numbers look good to me, then I can put my mind at ease a little bit. Next up, I'm going to cover my auxiliary lights. I don't have the adventure model, which has the big old Dumbo eared lights. Some of you love, some of them hate. As soon as you drop the bike, they break off. So I wanted to mount something inside my bar, and I wanted it to be very low profile, just to add a little bit of light. But I will say they added way more than I thought they would. These are pretty small. Here's my thumb. They're 2 inches. Not very deep. Picked them up on Amazon, as well as those little 7/8, actually 7/8 or 1 inch clamps. Links in the description, like everything else. And let's see if I can turn the camera. And then I just tucked the wire in to the side of the fairing there. Pretty clean install. And if the bike goes over, guess what? They're not breaking off. As far as their durability and their reliability, they're $30 Amazon lights. So take it with a grain of salt. You know, they will serve their purpose. Also, I added this switch. That is, some of you guys with the adventure model will recognize that location is where your little push button switch is that they say your bars sometimes hit and is an awkward switch. This is cheap switch, like $6, $7 on Amazon. Very easy to maintain, to use, water resistant according to the listing, and that is what I've got my lights hooked up to. Just give you a little comparison. There's just my headlight, there's my auxiliary lights. They, for the little guys that they are actually pretty impressive. Haven't really tried them at night yet. So there's a lot of stuff I've done that hasn't really got tested out yet. I'll go a little high beam without the auxiliary. Should flood in the areas pretty good that the stock headlight leaves off. We'll mention the oil plug. I do have a Tusk low profile oil plug. I'm not going to get down on my hands and knees and show you that. Pretty basic on what that is. It does recess inside the skid plate fairly well. I know there has been known issues for those cracking. We'll see how it goes. I can throw my OEM one back in if I ever have an issue. Up next is my Lex, what do they call this? The MXE slip-on aluminum muffler. Lots of videos out there on these things. About the least expensive option you can find for these bikes. You can tune them. They have inserts. They have spark arresters. They are aluminum can, so you need to keep them packed. I know the Lex says 35 hours. I think that's a bit excessive, but if you monitor it, I think maybe every other oil change, I'm probably going to repack it. Packing's fairly inexpensive, like less than 20 bucks for the packing material. You don't have to take the pipe off to repack it. Just remove those end cap bolts. Everything slides out. Plenty of clearance on that. Sounds really good. I didn't buy the extra insert, but it's not very loud. It's not super loud. It's just enough for that deeper tone and a little bit of sound that most people are going after. Other thing I've done, it's gonna be hard to see. You're not really gonna know what you're looking at. I did go with the Top Gun rear shock spring. I went with the 9, I think it's a 9.3 or 9.4 kilogram per whatever it is spring. Basically their heaviest spring. I think they have 3 or 4 different options. As I mentioned before, I'm a big boy. I'm heavy. All my gear on, I'm probably 270, 280. So she was squatting pretty good. Headlights were up in the trees. So I decided to add the stiffer rear spring. I just went with the heaviest. I haven't done a lot of trying on it yet. So we'll see how that works out. You will need a spring compressor to put that on. If you don't have one, they're fairly inexpensive. Amazon, Rocky Mountain has a Tusk one for like 35 bucks, I think it is. So, not hard to do if you're semi-mechanically inclined. And I think one of the last things I want to mention on the bike is my little kickstand pad. This one's, I will mention the price. Free. Had a piece of 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch, whatever that is. Pretty thick diamond plate aluminum. Just cut her out, a little bit bigger than the kickstand. Drilled a couple holes. Bammo. A little taller, a little wider. Put her down in the mud or the soft ground. Plenty of clearance back here. I was going to paint it. A couple guys have talked me out of painting it. They said they like the rustic look. Plus paint won't stick to that aluminum very well. So that is that. So that was free. I'll mention that price. I think that's going to be it on the bike. I do have a couple other items over here on the table that I am going to be using or putting on the bike. Have the good old tool tube. It's going to go behind the left bag. Just haven't mounted that up yet. I do have the Tusk Pilot soft pannier bags. That's going to be my off-road options for when I don't want to bang up the expensive ass Happy Trail stuff. So as you see, still got the tags on it. Not even sure when the first time I'm going to use those will be, but I have them available to me. Also want to add, when you're putting accessory lights or whatnot on these, see if I can focus, these little plugs. Picked them up on Amazon. Like you get like 6 of them for like 10 bucks or something. Waterproof. And if I ever need to remove the accessory lights, I have these plugs just underneath the fairing. All I gotta do is unplug them. I can remove the accessory lights, take off the crash bars, and I don't have to unwire everything. So those are gonna be super handy to have. I have an extra set of Lex springs. For everybody who knows that Lex pipe, the springs break. I'm sure these springs will break too. I ended up bending mine back into shape and put them back on, but then I bitched to Rocky Mountain. They sent me a new set of springs, so I do have another set. These are the accessory relays. If you do not have an adventure or a traveler model and you want to start adding accessories utilizing the bike's wiring, these are the relays that you need to purchase. There are I've mentioned in a previous video, look that up. There are 3 options for plugging in accessories to these bikes. 1 underneath the tank, and 2 in the dash, 1 right behind the dash, and 1 on the behind right there where it says KLR behind that panel. There's another one for you could plug in your GPS, your phone mounts, or your phone chargers, accessory lights, whatever you need to wire in. But if you don't have an adventure model or a traveler model that already has accessories, maybe you have a base model that already has accessories, you just need 1. I bought 2 because I thought I needed 2, and then come to find out my bike already had 1 in it because it's a traveler model had the 12-volt plug already. I'm going to keep 1 as a backup. A friend is getting another one. So those are the relays you need to get. 3D covers those, carries those. The other thing I have is the 3D Cycle Parts windshield risers. I have tried these. They work great on the stock windshield. It's probably what I'm going to use when I take the tall boy off there and take her off road. I'll probably use these with the stock windscreen just to help with the buffeting a little bit. A lot of guys have covered these in videos. 3D cycle parts, I'll include a link for those. And I have all the stuff to do the doohickey. That's the doohickey itself. And of course you got the tool, you got the flywheel puller, you got the new flywheel bolt, and you got the case gaskets. I am not going to do that until the warranty is almost up. I don't want to go cracking into the engine case and then come to find out something's wrong, and then they're like, oh, your warranty, we're not covering it because you opened the case and your warranty is kaput. Threw some cheap ceramic coating on her. That's why she's so shiny. Not so much to keep it clean, but just to help shed water and muck off of it. It's a DIY ceramic. I do want to shout out to a few vendors. I don't really want to call it shame another one, but just give you some experiences I've had with vendors. Now, 3D Cycle Parts, can't say enough about Tu and his operation. He has her all figured out. He lets you know what he's got, what he can get, when he can get it. Shipping is super fast, free shipping over a certain dollar amount in orders. Depending on what state you're in, you might not have to pay sales tax. He accepts all kinds of payments. And if you have questions about anything, hit the man up on the Facebook or wherever, and he will answer you at 10 o'clock on a Sunday evening, because you're an asshole and ask him a question on 10 o'clock on a Sunday evening. I've done it. And he gracefully answers my questions and is very attentive to his customer base. So big shout out to Tu and 3D Cycle Parts, top-notch operation. Another shout out, and again, people, I don't get paid anything for saying this. I don't get any kickbacks. My links don't do anything other than just help you guys find the stuff. Nobody's given me, I will say I was part of the pre-buy on the 3D Cycle printed windshield risers. I did get those for free, but that was just because I was one of the first several people to place the order. So I told you there was another shout out on something I did not pay for. Where was I? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So anyway, another good supplier, vendor, Rocky Mountain and MCATV. I mean, you all probably ordered stuff from them before, but they've got 2 warehouses, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. Sometimes I'll get stuff next day, if not 2 days. Tires, exhaust, oil. They've got their game top notch. Where you order it, you're going to get it. They let you know if it's in stock or not in stock. And yeah, they're top notch as well. Prices are competitive. They got a reward system, or what they call it, Rocky Mountain Cash, where you can use that on next order. So highly recommend them. Some of my links are through them. I will give a little bit of a shout out to Happy Trails Products. They do make fine products. Some of the highest quality stuff you can imagine. Their welds, their finish, their engineering is really top notch. Now I know lately they've had some supply chain issues, they've had some employment issues, but they do better, guys. I mean, come on, do better. At least in the information department. Don't pre-sale items. Don't have people pre-order items to keep them waiting months. Don't tell people items are in stock and then a week later tell them they'll get them in a month. Do better. That's all I have to say about that. At times, I felt like my money was being held hostage. I had the order for the rear racks, for the fork brace, for the panniers, and I canceled my order. I was on the pre-buy for the engine guards, and I bailed on that. I was on the pre-buy for the center stand. I bailed on that. There was something else too, I don't remember. I canceled some items because I felt kind of betrayed. Like these racks, these 2 Canon boxes and these racks were ones that were already in production. They weren't pre-buy. They weren't in what do you call that, design phase. They were available. The website said available. I get an email several days after I place the order that says expect my order a month later. At the time, I was like, okay, I can wait a month. It's wintertime, no big deal. So I waited, and then it was another month, and then it was another week, and then another week, and then another week. It took over 3 months to get my order. Once I got my order, it's beautiful products. I mean, you can't beat these, what it looks like. The welds, the finish, the hardware. I mean, the stuff is gorgeous. But come on, guys. Customer service, communication. Do better in communication. You tell somebody a week or a month, it should be a week or a month. And do better on packaging. I think I mentioned already the packaging on that item. Let's see if I can get up here. You can see the dings and chips? All because they just threw this in a loose bag with the hardware. And I get it. It's going to get banged and dinged up where it is on the bike. But when I pay good money for a quality product that was probably really nice when it left their facility, and I get it and it's all beat and banged up, yeah, do better. All right, I'm done with that. I got to get off my soapbox now about them. So what's next for the bike? Probably very few things. Probably in the immediate future, I will do progressive springs for the front suspension. I've stiffened up that rear. I want to see what the front's going to do with that rear being stiffened up. I think that's going to be it for suspension wise. Obviously different tires. Everybody knows these tires are garbage. I'll upgrade the tubes in the tires. I'll keep the OEM tubes as backups. But for now, just going to rock these tires. Seat-wise, I'm fairly happy right now with the seat. I was going to go with the tall seat concepts until they jacked their prices up, and then they just lost my business when they did that. And I get it. You have to take prices up based on availability and what the current market is. But they took their price up, what was it, 80%? 60 or 80%. It was up there. It was like $100 jump, $90 to $100 jump, from like 180 to 270 or 280. It was a substantial jump. And I was literally getting ready to place the order like within a week, and then the price jumped, and I'm like, what the hell? All right, not doing that anymore. So I think I'll just rock that seat, maybe try a sheepskin pad on it for now. I have an air hawk as well. I think that's like it. I don't really think of anything else I'm ready to do or add. Pretty happy. Around, look at my ugly mug again. Pretty long video. Looks like we're about 53 minutes right now. I appreciate it, guys. Go back and watch all my videos if you would. There's some good information in those. There's tech tips. There's some references there when I had all the body panels off, if you need a walk around on where things are. I don't really do how-to videos. I don't have the patience for the editing. Most of my videos like this are just raw. They're just unedited, start to finish. And I don't like to do all that. I will be doing some more ride videos. Obviously, those I'll be editing. Maybe do some moto vlogging style stuff. I don't know. But go back, check out my other videos. Subscribe to the channel. We'll grow it. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll quit being lazy and start editing. I'm here in Ohio. Summertime's coming. We just got into spring. It's a little windy outside, so I had to do this inside today. I wanted to do it outside in the sun, but it's pretty windy. I didn't want to play with the audio on that. But I have some other rides too. That's my old concourse. That thing's been all over the country. 90,000 miles on her. That's my Mrs. Indian Scout. She's got her all accessorized the way she wants. And here's my workshop. Do all my own maintenance. Got lots of room. Just kind of set the bike over there. My wife's car usually is parked there. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this video helps you all out and gives you some references, links. I'll put them all in the description. You have any questions, ask me. If you see something in the video I left out, let me know. I'll try to add it in the comments. That's it. Thanks a lot, guys. Ride safe. See ya.